All right. Hey, everybody. I'm back for your morning update this time. It is bright and early, and we are giving you everything you need to know to survive through today and in the future in terms of the weather. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So, first off, starting off with the pressure map. As you can see, we still have that low pressure over there near Texas. That's going to move off to the east. Not really expecting much impacts out of that, just rain, maybe some severe weather on the coast there of the Gulf of Mexico. Then looking over here to the west, you can actually see there's a little bit of a stronger low pressure system moving in there over Texas. Going to start over here in Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, and Kansas. Going to drop actually a decent amount of snow there. And then that's going to move off to the east and then northeast. And then that's going to enter into the northeast east here. And that's when we're going to be expecting our first major snowstorm to come through and potentially drop a decent amount of snow. Now, there's still some iffiness, still some disagreement, so it's still not a 100% going to be, a big daddy major snowstorm, but it's definitely something that we're going to keep on watching and keep on giving you guys updates just so you're up to date with the latest on this storm. And then look at this big guy entering into the west coast after this, and we're going to be talking about him in just a little bit, but let's come back over to here, a little bit more of a zoomed in view to the beginning of this new snowstorm that's going to be entering into the country and starting to drop snow there in Arizona right about at 12 p.m. there in Thursday, and it starts to move into Texas, dropping some snow in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, and then maybe even a little bit there in Missouri as well. And then as that moves off to the east, that snow starts to die down in this region. What's that over there? Oh, it's the like and subscribe button. Hit that like button if you're enjoying this forecast so far, and hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated on future weather events. And then moving over to the estimated snowfall for this region, you can see we have a little strip here of 2 to 3 inches, extending all the way into really from the mountains of Arizona through New Mexico up into Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, and into Kansas, with the biggest spots of snowfall being up here in the more mountainous regions over there in New Mexico, and then some 3 to 4 inches in between that going into Kansas. Maybe a little strip there of 5 to 6 inches are going to be possible in this little area there. The Euro is a little less bullish on this area to the right, but still small isolated spot there of 6 inches is going to be possible. And then, widespread 3 to 4 inches of snow is going to be possible on the lower elevations going from Arizona into Kansas, with this one little spot here of some higher snowfall totals, potentially half a foot there. So keep that in mind if you live just in that panhandle region of Oklahoma and Texas. Now, moving off a little bit further to the east here, as this low pressure builds in strength and then moves over, we actually have a pretty big change here. Just literally a couple hours ago, we were looking at the models, and this thing was a little bit further up to the north, but now you can see that that has dipped down a little bit further to the south, over there near Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and southern New Jersey there. But the snow chances up north aren't completely over. Watch what happens when I push this even further here to the east. We have another little bit of energy, a little clipper system that could potentially come in on the backside of this at around Sunday through Indiana and Ohio, and that's going to push through the area and add just a little bit more snow, not a whole lot more snow to the northern parts of this storm, according to the model runs right now. Again, we're still about 4 to 5 days out from this storm, so a lot of things are still going to change. Again, these models are going to continue to bounce around from that northern and southern solution, but definitely seems like a bigger snowstorm is still on the books here. Coming over to the GFS, you can see that the total snowfall amounts have moved a little bit further to the south, and then over here in New York, you can see that there is some snowfall up there as well, potentially 4 to 5 inches there around a lot of places there near Watertown and Buffalo, looking like maybe 2 to 3 inches, and then other places there in New York, sitting around that 4 inch mark. And then the further you go east, the less you're going to get. And then also over here in Pennsylvania, just to the north of this big strip, maybe 3 to 4, 5 inches are going to be possible, really for like the entire state of Pennsylvania. Only people that might miss out on some bigger snow totals is going to be over here in western Pennsylvania. But man, look at this big old strip here of 9 to 10 inches of snow that is still looking to be possible here for northern Northern Virginia, going into West Virginia, Maryland, there in Southern Pennsylvania, and even pushing into New Jersey. So definitely going to be keeping our eye on this still and checking the latest model runs and seeing the differences. This is the latest Euro run, and as you can see, it's a lot more bullish for that northern extent of the snow line here. So a lot higher totals over here in on New York going into Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then Pennsylvania getting, right in that 6 to 7 inches with some isolated spots reaching up into those 7 to 8 inch marks. And then, further down, you can still see around 6 to 7 inches. So there is still not a whole lot of agreement. If you could say there's any agreement at all between these two models, it's that more snow is possible there for Northern Virginia. But again, still far out. Things are still definitely going to change with this guy. Now, moving on over to the next storm. The next major storm that's going to be impacting our country. You can see right there on Texas and Oklahoma border there's that strong low pressure system that is going to try to advect some moisture off of the northern part here. And since it's strong, the lower and upper level winds are going to be screaming with this storm. So, any instability that this storm can pick up and then bring into the United States is only going to fuel some big storms with the potential for tornadoes. But this is even farther out. So, a lot is going to change with this storm, but not as much as this storm up to the northeast. This storm should stay pretty consistent here on the models with some minor changes, which could be important. Severe weather can be fickle, especially this time of year. So we will continue to monitor it. So first, starting off with the lower levels on the GFS and the Euro, you can see that the GFS has a little bit more of an organized low pressure system here, and you can tell that because it's more organized, we have a stronger lower level wind response with this, and definitely have some stronger lower level winds in comparison to the Euro. And the Euro doesn't have this exact time frame that the GFS is, so we're comparing it to a little bit later. But if we push the GFS out to the same time as the Euro, you can see that there is some pretty good consistency there. So definitely a strong storm that needs to be watched, especially if any moisture can happen. This is the upper level winds. Essentially, what we're looking at here is a spin in the atmosphere with all of these different maps right here. And as you can see, there's going to be a lot of spin in the atmosphere. When you start to get these orange, reds going into the grays and then the whites there, that's when you start to see those elevated lower and upper level winds in the Euro. Look at that. Not too big of a disagreement of the placement of this trough ejection. So definitely some consistency here, even though we're pretty far out away from this event. Now, last thing that we're going to look at is the fuel for these storms going from Monday into the future. And as you can see, look at that. GFS has a little bit of an uptrend here. Last time we looked at it, didn't really have enough moisture pushing into Louisiana, but look at that. A little bit more. So a little bit more of an uptrend there. Definitely going to have to monitor that. Severe weather is seeming a little bit more likely along the coast there, according to the GFS here. So definitely enough storm fuel. You need this instability in order to fuel storms. So that does seem like it's going to be in place, especially there for Monday going into Tuesday, the 9th of January. And then that storm's exits off of the coast late Tuesday. And then looking at the Euro, look at this. Still, not a whole lot there. Not a whole lot of instability. You want to see these green colors, these darker green colors, and yellow colors. And we do have it here on Tuesday. So there is a little bit of agreement for Tuesday between the GFS and the Euro. You can see this is Monday going into Tuesday. And there's some agreement there. Some agreement. Between the models. So definitely going to have to watch, I think, mainly Monday going into Tuesday. And then the next day is going to be a little bit more of a what's going to happen, a question mark here. Maybe a little bit more moisture advection here on the GFS from a little shortwave trough, or maybe not. Maybe that shortwave trough never really materializes and doesn't really advect enough moisture up to the north, or maybe we have too much cloud cover, and so that's going to lead to less instability. So definitely something to keep an eye on, but certainly the total severe weather potential of this storm is not set in stone yet. And then last but not least, we have the temperatures here across the country that we're going to be looking at. And as you can see, it's going to remain cold out there. We're talking in the 20s and 30s, a little bit of a warm up there down in Texas, moving into Mississippi. And then that cools down as we go into the nighttime. Look at that over there in North and South Dakota. We got a little bit more of a cool down here, getting into the tens, maybe getting into the teens in some areas in the higher elevations there in South Dakota. And then pushing this all the way into Thursday. Continues to kind of be the same there with that warm up still happening out in front of this next system that's going to be coming through, as we're going to have some rain and a small severe potential down here in the southeast with that one, but nothing too crazy. And then as this next storm system comes through, look at that. You can see the gradient there between these oranges and these blues here. That's the cold air in the backside, that warmer air out in front of it, and that is definitely pretty cool to see. That you can see. Look at that very visible line there. That's that cold front that is going to be sparking those severe storms on the southern side. With this storm in the future, eventually, we're gonna have to talk about the snow. It's still a little bit too far out here to make any real definite statements on it. Again, you've seen, just with the one that we've been tracking here, there's been some pretty big disagreements with the models. Even, we're about 4, almost 5 days out from this event, and there's still big disagreement. And so, looking out 7 days, almost 8 days out with this next storm, it's going to be a while before we can get any major answers on this. But it does seem like the potential is there for some snow in the northern part. But where exactly does that fall? How much snow are we going to get? That's still a big question mark. But anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this forecast, and I'll see you guys on the next one.